Okay, today I'm going to tie one of my favorite heavier flies for the Platte. Some of my other flies that I've tied have been a little bit smaller. I use them when the water's not running quite as fast or isn't quite as deep, maybe in lakes. This is a great fly that I use in the river all the time. And to start with, we're going to use, again, these Gamakatsu SL45 bonefish hooks, size 6. And for the lead eyes here, I'm just using lead eyes. These are 1/80th of an ounce. Thread is again 140 denier brown olive thread. I'm going to be using some ginger colored marabou right here. I'm also going to be using yellow barred silly legs. Dubbing I'm going to be using is free range dubbing. This is yellow mustard color. This is actually made by a guy named Keith Barton at singlebarbed.com. You can find his stuff there. It's really good stuff. And then also I'm going to be using some tan India hen saddle hackle. And so to start with, I just tied in the dumbbell eyes right behind the eye, about 1 eye length. And we'll just start the thread back here, wrap it back to the hook shank. First thing you do is you're going to tie in the tail. So I usually like to use about 2 pieces of marabou. I kind of want a nice thick tail. So I'm going to even out the tips here. Just measure it. Should be about the length of the hook long. And just anchor that in. A couple wraps. And trim this kind of long. It helps form the body as we finished wrapping this down. Give you a nice thick body, which I think is very important with this fly. Next thing we're going to do to accentuate the tail is take a piece of those yellow silly legs. I take one, cut it in half, and then I'll tie it in on your side first. I fold it in half, just like this, and tie it in on the far side. Take the other half, fold it over, and tie it in on the near side, or your far side. What this does is it helps give the tail a little bit more dynamic action in the water. These you can trim to be the length of the marabou, or thereabouts. The next step is to dub the body. To dub the body, you're just going to use a bodkin, split the thread, and stack the dubbing in. You could use a dubbing loop too. I like this just a little bit better. And use a liberal amount of dubbing here and just kind of start stacking it up. And you're going to need a couple inches worth because we really want this body to be thick. And obviously you could do this fly in rust as well. Just substitute these yellow and tan colors for rust colors. But this is what you'll end up with, something like that. And just kind of just spin your thread a little bit, just get it nice and tight in there. And then we'll start to dub. And every time you dub, just kind of sweep the fibers back. And you're going to end up with this real heavily dubbed abdomen. Once you have that, make a couple thread wraps right behind the bead chain eyes, or these lead eyes. Take 2 pieces of your saddle hackle, preen the tips back like this, and put them in, tie them by the tip, concave down, right near the lead eyes, and anchor that in pretty nice and tight. So you'll end up with something like that. Same thing here as we wrap, just kind of sweep the fibers forward, and I usually do 4 to 5 wraps, just however much my hackle's gonna let me do. And just take some care tying it in so that you're not capturing all the fibers. They kind of stay flared. Trim these as close as you can. Now take all the fibers and sweep them back and make several tight turns. Really anchor it down. And then what I like to do is, obviously you're going to end up with some extra dubbing here, so you can just kind of lightly pull some off like this. Dub a real tight rope of dubbing here. And just cover up your thread wraps, and then also go over the bead chain eyes, as this will help soften the landing of the fly so it doesn't make quite as big of a splash. And just whip finish right behind the eye of the hook. This pattern is extremely easy to tie. It has good weight with these lead eyes at the front. If you decide that you need more weight, which I always carry other flies with 25 lead wrapped on the shank, and you do that right after you tie in the bead chain eyes. But the legs will give the tail nice action in the water. And this fly is one of the most productive flies for me on the Platte in Denver. Yellow is a great color, and once you get in the water, this thing will sink, ride hook up, and this has caught a lot of fish for me. So